Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. Dave Weishottle with you. One of the hottest topics in gaming today is esports. Its growth has been just incredible. And one of the best conferences you can attend if you're interested in esports is the Casino Esport Conference. Our next guests are at the forefront of this exploding market. Ari Fox is the creator of the Casino Esport Conference, which is being held in Atlantic City on October 18th and 19th at the Esports Innovation Center at Stockton University. And also, we have Andrew Weilgus, who is the executive director of the Esports Innovation Center at Stockton University. And to tell us all about the event and the Esports Innovation Center, we have Ari and Andrew on the line with us. Ari, welcome back. And Andrew, since this is your first time on the show, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much, Dave. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Thanks for having us on.
As I said, the popularity of esports has really grown over the years. Ari, you've been on the show lots of times, but I want to ask Andrew, since this is your first time on the show, introduce yourself to the people out there. How did you become involved with esports?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting story. I mean, as a gamer, I was in the Nintendo World Championships when I was a kid, so I've been playing video games competitively my entire life, but I wasn't really into the esports market per se. In 2017, myself and my business partner, Nick Bellata, launched Atlantic City FC, which was a minor league soccer team.
Okay.
And in order to help promote that brand during the season, we launched an esports team at the same time to compete specifically in the game FIFA in this virtual pro league that ran cross-continent. So you're playing European teams that had esports components to their actual soccer teams. And I just realized what an amazing way this was to break into a different audience and to cross-promote sports and esports, traditional sports and esports. So that was my first foray into actually being involved in esports. And as I worked on trying to build a sports culture for Atlantic City, I recognized the incredible opportunity that presented itself for esports in this place. You know, you have 9 operating casinos, all within 3 square miles of each other, the boardwalk, all these attractions, 17,000 hotel rooms, and it just dawned on me, wow, this is an amazing spot if you were going to hold mass esports events. So that really sparked my interest in exploring what Atlantic City could be from an esports perspective, and fortunately that matched up to the state's intentions, and they formed a committee in partnership with Stockton University, I believe, somewhere in 2020, and then labeled the project the Esports Innovation Center and started a search to find an executive director, and that eventually led to me, and I was grateful to accept the job and start that process working with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority and Stockton University on really building the esports ecosystem in Atlantic City from the ground up, which I think, it's people don't understand how complex the ecosystem behind esports is, how diverse it is, how many major players there are. And in the past, people assume esports is just, nerdy kids playing video games in the basement for endless hours. And it could not be farther from the truth. The esports market has been completely professionalized. There are global esports teams that would rank in the mid category of NHL team evaluations, which in my lifetime I never thought I would see. And in 5 years that's happened. So the explosion has been overwhelming, and it really just came back to the fact that Atlantic City is very uniquely positioned to take advantage of that based on all the gaming and everything else. And that's not even to talk about the opportunity from the casino's perspective when it comes to peer-to-peer play in esports and what's coming next. This was just thinking along the lines of events, right? Having great events in Atlantic City. But then all those other elements started to unfold, and then we realized what we're sitting on is over 20 universities in New Jersey that have esports programs. Wow. Stockton alone has 700 kids that are involved in esports here, which is remarkable, and very, very competitive teams globally, including a world-ranked Rocket League team. And it just made sense that, okay, this needs to be more than just how do we build good events in Atlantic City, which is a component, don't get me wrong. This needs to be about how do we move the esports ecosystem directly into Atlantic City to take advantage of all of these incredible opportunities that are there, and to really put all these pieces together between the different aspects of what the state's been doing to build this slowly. So there's the educational aspect, there's the events aspect, and then there's the incentives aspect to actually attract businesses to launch and start growing this in New Jersey.
Now, Ari, you're one of the creators of the Casino Esport Conference, which is now in its 7th year of operation, and it's an invaluable source of information and marketing tools for those interested in esports. What led you to the esports world, and what was your inspiration for creating this conference?
Interesting enough. So thanks, David. And so about 10 years ago, my brother and I started a video gaming conference called GameCon. Mm-hmm. And in that in that foray into what I call video gaming culture is really where we sort of mined our experiences, our connection with communities in various different groups of people, meaning Smash tournaments, Call of Duty tournaments, which is basically in what I can, and Andrew would agree to this, is that these are different groups of people in different communities. There's also an indie community, and when we started GameCon, it was more focused on indie games, which is the creation of the video game and the appreciation of the art behind the creation of those video games. So that's what GameCon actually stands for. It's Game Arts Conference. So moving forward, as we started to get a GameCon community itself, and we held all of our events in Atlantic City, we started now almost 7 years ago the Casino Esport Conference in Las Vegas. And we kept doing it every year because what we wanted to do was give our education and what we learned from the general populace of the communities that we were engaging in our consumer conferences to the business side of it. Because what we saw was a lack of understanding that the casino market had for a younger audience. And, last year, earlier this year, we had close to 500 people at the Casino Esport Conference in Las Vegas. And it keeps growing because the one that we run in Las Vegas is really more about the overall expansion around the community itself. It includes everything, not just esports itself. And Andrew can attest the fact that I'm not even a fan of the name esports because I find it very much, I would call it video gaming competition, which is a lot longer than esports, but nonetheless, I'm more of the culture guy. I like to understand what really makes these people excited in the entertainment side of it, which is what I would call the overall ecosystem is pure entertainment. But there's lots of ways to interact with that entertainment. As Andrew said, there's many, many levels. So Andrew came out and spoke earlier this year on a panel, and we got to know each other really well. And he is the executive director now, appointed to run the Esports Innovation Center, which is almost like the answer to the Blackfire Institute, which is in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And he asked Ben and I to, help him out with, getting this event going at the launching, which will be in a few weeks. So we were honored that he asked us, and we're really excited to be working with Andrew. And I got to tell you, and you know this, Dave, that I've been involved in Atlantic City, sure. And many ideas come through that city for over 20 years. And I've never seen anyone so energetic and so positive and so had such a great outlook on the development and the future of Atlantic City than Andrew. So the Esports Innovation Center is in great hands with him, and I'm honored to be working with him and building this conference for years to come.
I love the whole idea about the Esports Innovation Center. Andrew, tell us a little something about the Esports Innovation Center, and why is something like this at Stockton University so important to the esports industry?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And first of all, thank you very much for the compliment, Ari. That's really very gracious of you to say. And I've been really honored to work with Ari and his brother as well, because the event in Las Vegas, as he pointed out, was a massive event that included giants in the industry from the tech side like ANC and, Peerless AV and some tremendous companies that are really, really the backbone of how this infrastructure is being built. And one thing I'll also add to the last comment before I get into the EIC specifically, Ari mentioned he would call it video gaming competitions. One thing I don't like is when esports gets lumped into one category, just like it's saying like sports is one thing. Every single sport has a completely different audience. Cricket is a sport, and billiards is a sport, and racing is a sport, and none of those audiences have anything to do with each other than the fact that it's called sport. Esports is exactly the same thing. There's genre upon genre upon genre. All of them are different. The communities are different, and trying to lump them together and just say, hey, this is all you guys are this. It's crazy. So there's really a dramatic, I think, shift in terms of how people have to perceive what esports actually is in its individual levels. There are things that are much easier to understand. So that's one thing that I just wanted to echo. But with regards to the EIC specifically, so the mission was to create a nonprofit that really focused on a couple of the key pillars of building this. One is the education component. So what we're doing is working with Stockton University. We're working with Rutgers University in creating esports curriculum that combines computer science, School of Business, and hotel restaurant management programs into a tailored degree certificate that really fits the skill sets that the industry is looking for hireable candidates. And that is critical. So next year we expect Stockton to be one of the first schools in the country to have an esports major. And there's going to be more to follow. And then really it's about building meaningful curriculum for students that will get them employed in this industry, which has, by the way, tons of openings, tons of opportunity, tremendous pay scale, and a lot of room for advancement. So if people that have a passion for esports and like gaming want to take that into a career, this is a great way to do it. But it's not about being a professional gamer, guys, right? That's the big thing that I always like to point out. This is not about being a professional video game player. It's about enjoying that aspect of it and finding a career in that industry. It's like you went to sports management school or to get a degree in sports management. You're not expecting to be the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, right? You're expecting to maybe work in football or work in some capacity in the sports industry. So that's really what the EIC is built for. It's not to try to turn out professional gamers. It's to try to develop this ecosystem with the higher education K through 12 sectors in the state of New Jersey, and then the casino industry as well, in trying to say, okay, well, what technologies are going to make sense to introduce into your environment where there's a healthy betting component being put into this, whether it's people betting on other people playing games or you betting on yourself up against another competitor, which I think is a very novel concept to introduce, but it really isn't. It's more like the poker model, right?
Yeah.
So finding technologies, technology partners, companies like, G3 is a local company run by Anthony Gowd, who's tremendous and has a lot of vision for esports. And I've been fortunate enough to meet him and know him for the last 4 years and see how his vision can help with Atlantic City. And these types of innovative companies need to be pushed and need to have the states around the country to adopt what they're doing, because it's a little bit of the unknown, right? So from a regulatory standpoint, competition standpoint, all of those components need to be factored in. So we're kind of like an information clearinghouse for all of these different groups. Whether you have the K through 12 schools, you have the higher education schools in New Jersey, you have the casinos, the idea is to have a place where all of them can congregate and get meaningful content delivered that helps them not only understand the industry, but understand how they can profit from this industry and help grow it in New Jersey. So, and then there's a massive community aspect that I can't stress enough. We will be an open shop for the community of Atlantic City to make sure that every kid in this area who has a passion for esports can help develop their talents to the max. So we have programs that we're working on with the Boys and Girls Club, with the Police Athletic League, and we want to make sure that this is an opportunity for kids in Atlantic City to really benefit and grow into the potential to have a job and stay home and help grow this community and help make this a great place to live, which it is. People have whatever perception they have of Atlantic City, but I can tell you, having been here for over 20 years, this is an amazing place with amazing people. Every city has whatever issues it's got. There's never going to be one without it, but I think everything that's in this city that needs to be corrected is fixable, and that's where you have to start. Esports can play a massive component to that. You have events that could come in year-round, especially during the non-prime months of summertime. There's no better place to host events here. You have 17,000 hotel rooms. You have all of this space. You can literally, get it for pennies on the dollar compared to a New York City or a Philadelphia at the same time of year. So it's uniquely positioned to do that. And for the industry to grow here, this is an amazing place to live. We have, the casinos have every restaurant you could ever imagine wanting to eat at right there. Nightclubs, Tropicana alone has 26 restaurants, 25 stores, an IMAX movie theater, a nightclub, 5 nightclubs, 5 sports bars. So it's nuts. And I think once the remote, working community that's in this and entrepreneurs that are trying to develop ideas in the esports or independent gaming studios looking to build the next thing, see the incentives we're building in the state to attract their companies to this area, it's going to be an absolute no-brainer to build your business here and to position your brand to take advantage of what Atlantic City has to offer.
Yeah, I just add into that, David. I mean, 10 years ago when we started the GameCon event, I was going to other conferences, other video gaming conferences, and there wasn't any video gaming conference that was actually held in Atlantic City at the time when we started doing the GameCon. But to Drew's point, the fact that the infrastructure that is here or there in Atlantic City has everything anyone could possibly need. I mean, when we actually created a promo video that we sent out to some of the exhibitors that we tried to get from New York City and Philadelphia and Maryland and other places to come to Atlantic City, was that why would you spend so much money in going to Boston for a video gaming conference and spending all that money for a hotel room and, your floor space and everything else like that, when Atlantic City is much less costly. And, it's not easy. I got to tell you, I mean, the hurdles are not, it's easier said than done. The hurdles are not easy to jump through. I mean, a lot of these people, when you want to do an event and you do it in New York City, it's New York City.
Sure.
And so people tend to sort of hesitate when you say Atlantic City, and it's not an easy thing to overcome when you try to get and build events in Atlantic City. In fact, I have competitors of mine in the casino industry that have had and held events in New Jersey, but they didn't hold them in Atlantic City, and they were casino conferences.
Interesting.
By all standards, they should have been held in Atlantic City. Just as, events like the Global Gaming Expo was held in Las Vegas. And I'm not going to say who it was, but honestly, why hold it in the Meadowlands and then when you can have it in an actual casino town,
sure,
like Atlantic City? And I did ask that question, and the answer was, well, because of the proximity to New York City. Mm-hmm. There's a stigma, and it's very hard to get over. But I think with Drew's enthusiasm, that's a possibility that could change.
Plus, we're working on legitimate incentives from the state of New Jersey to attract major events here. And really, that was the other component of this is we have amazing infrastructure, but we still have work to do, right? Boardwalk Hall is an incredible venue, but it's not really suited yet for the prime esports events, but it will be. And once it is, now you're talking about a 10,000 to 14,000 seat arena with a 4,000 seat adjunct theater, the Adrian Phillips Theater, that you can turn into a prime esports space, but right on the boardwalk, and then still have all of that casino proximity nearby. So that would put us in position to host the bigger events from, the League of Legends and all of these types of groups which are running events at an exceptional level right now. I mean, if you go look at what esports is doing, it's incredible in terms of the size venues they're in, the ticket prices they're getting, the number of participants that are taking place, the tournament prize pool. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, League of Legends just had an event in Chicago a while back, and it was a sellout, I think. I mean, it was pretty packed.
It was pretty close, yeah.
And Drew was showing us video of it at the ECGC last week. And, he's like, why shouldn't that be Atlantic City? I tend to agree with him. I've been saying that for over 20 years.
That's what my question was going to be to you. Do you guys like where Atlantic City is heading with regard to esports? I mean, do you see New Jersey in general becoming an esports powerhouse in the coming year? Ari, every time you come on, I ask you, is there a new big region for esports? I always mention Texas and Las Vegas, but Atlantic City really seems poised for that. And I want to ask both of you, do you like what Atlantic City is doing to attract the esports community?
I mean, I could take that one, and then I guess Drew could talk about it. I think Atlantic City has a lot to learn, which is why we're bringing the Casino Esport Conference to its shores. We need to educate for executives in the casino industry as well as in the visitors and convention bureaus, to try to, and I encourage them from this interview to come and see the event and come and talk to people who are in the industry of esports collegiately and professionally, so that they can understand the culture of where or how they need to reach out to these people. And like I said, anything can be done if you educate them in the right way, and that's the whole point of the CEC, is to educate and to get those people who have these venues to learn and understand how to attract the communities, the Smash community, the League of Legends community, the Call of Duty community, even the indie game developer community. And as Andrew was saying, look, GameCon itself, the whole purpose was to attract young starting studios that creating new games in the industry. At one time, Rocket League was an indie game. At one time, Minecraft was an indie game. The roots of the video gaming industry starts with indie game developers. I think, as Andrew was pointing out, there's incentives for them to build studios in New Jersey and South Jersey. Mm-hmm. This is an opportunity, I think, that without the CEC, the barrier to entry for a convention and visitors authority or a casino executive has a hard time trying to bring in those businesses to their communities and their areas. So, this is a very important conference. It's so that people who are already, have their MBAs and are executives and hold high-level positions can come to this event without, getting, mud on their face and saying, oh, I don't know anything about esports, or at least saying that they know something about esports and taking a dive into it without really understanding it. And that's where people get egg on their face, which is a problem. There's even companies that have been developed that have, dived into the industry, and they're not doing well because they just didn't understand the community.
I would agree with a lot of that. I also think, just to answer the core point about the positioning with New Jersey and Atlantic City, you need a strategy that everybody buys into from the state level down to the city level. And really, the casinos are controlled by the district is controlled by the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority, the CRDA, which has a tremendous director named Sean Patwell, who I know through many conversations believes in esports, knows what it can do for Atlantic City, and is invested on that end. And that's the group that really works on the events attraction side to the city and controls Boardwalk Hall, right? So they're essentially a state agency. So I know the state is invested in esports. I know from the top level down, there is no state more invested in esports in terms of conversation, what we're working on. The Casino Control Commission, Division of Gaming Enforcement, all of them have been in constant contact with myself and various other experts to try to make sure New Jersey is ahead of the curve on regulation and allowing for events and tournaments and really exciting things to come through. So we've got a regulatory framework in place. We've got a plan to build the infrastructure of Atlantic City, the physical infrastructure, meaning Boardwalk Hall and its surrounding areas. Really, it just comes down to executing that strategy and making sure that the top-level events that come through here, everybody has an amazing time, and that the experience is fantastic, and then we can rinse and repeat that. As Ari said, there's always challenges, especially when you're first getting started with that, but I do think we're headed in the right direction, and I think the approach is going to be walk before we run, and make sure that the pieces are in place from an infrastructure and education standpoint throughout the industry. And the third part that has to buy in is the casinos, right? So that is really where this Casino Esports Conference is critical, because we're there to educate the casino industry as much as anything else about what esports can do for you, what kind of companies can come in and interact, and how they can help you reach a different demographic, attract different people to the casino, and spearhead technology that is going to be very profitable in the future, and that's already, quite frankly, widely adapted in Europe in terms of common practice. I mean, I met a company at a conference that I believe they're called SIS, that has esports factories where 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they're pitting professional esports players against each other in closed-circuit televised matches, which are then fed to sports betting operators so that there's constant flow of content for you to bet on at any time. You want to wake up and watch two people play Madden, and there's a spread and two teams playing, boom, there you go. That market exists in the U.S. It's just not here yet.
Well, I'm glad you brought up sports betting, because I know that's one of the topics you're going to cover at the convention at the Esports Innovation Center, October 18th and 19th. You can't talk about any kind of sports without talking about sports betting nowadays. Tell me about what you guys think is the future for esports with regard to betting. Do you see more and more states allowing betting on esports? I know New Jersey, you can bet on esports certain tournaments, and I know Las Vegas is now having meetings as we speak about esports, trying to get some rules and regulations down with regard to betting. Where do you guys see esports and betting in the near future? Ari, why don't you start it off?
Well, the wagering on esports is definitely something I think that needs to get adopted as a level up. 20 years ago when I started working in Atlantic City, as far as the East Coast was concerned, was the only shop in town. There wasn't any casinos in Pennsylvania. They didn't have really anything in Maryland. They didn't have anything of that big of a threat in New York. Of course, there was Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods, but honestly, Atlantic City had a monopoly, and no pun intended, but that's true. And the fact of the matter is that if there is any future growth for Atlantic City, they got to double down on esports, and esports wagering is a bigger piece of that pie. Esports wagering as a whole right now, I think it was $1 billion or something, or closer around that amount that was wagered, but not not legally. It was all in the dark corners of unlicensed areas of the world, and that needs to, just like sports wagering, that needs to come out of the dark and into the light so that it can be regulated, so that the people that are betting on it can be vetted to make sure that they are of age with KYC software. And I think that for the future of any casino town, and particularly Atlantic City, because it's been threatened now with casinos in Pennsylvania, and there might be one in New York City. So it is imperative that a town like Atlantic City, which, as Andrew's pointed out, beautiful, wonderful people there, need to adapt to a new idea, a new technology, and grab onto that, because that could be the ticket for the future, particularly the wagering side of it. New Jersey has led the way in the repeal of PASPA in 2018 with the sports wagering, with guys like, with the different guys like Dennis Drazen and other gentlemen that were involved in that, that brought that to the Supreme Court and repealed the PASPA law. That, including now, hearing Governor Murphy last week at ECGC, just particularly focus on esports. I mean, he talked about the Esports Innovation Center. They are all in New Jersey. And I think that's one of the reasons why I feel so good about, moving forward with the Casino Esport Conference in the city, is because esports wagering is something that I think is going to be the future. I would say more so in many respects. Peer-to-peer wagering also is definitely an aspect of esports that probably might have more interest to the different communities, different esports communities, than the actual wagering itself. Because you got to remember, in video gaming competition, the fans are also players.
Sure.
And they love the game. There's a passion for it, but they love to play as well. And, again, it's not like you have to be an amazing athlete like you do in professional sports. Anyone could reach those levels if they practice hard enough. And it's a great community because it's so exciting, because as Andrew's put forward, baseball fans will sit in the stadium and watch baseball players play, but esports fans will play and watch others play. And it's an amazing audience as far as the wagering is concerned. I think you even have more people, more than you would have in professional sports, wagering in esports, especially on the peer-to-peer side.
And I think casinos in particular are uniquely positioned to take advantage of that. What I mean is, if you can create a real in-person experience that you cannot get at home playing against a faceless person on the other end of a computer, that really can be something. For instance, let's say in a magical hypothetical world that I create, there's a esports room at Caesars, and every Wednesday night there's a Super Smash Brothers tournament for $1,000, and every Thursday is the Madden tournament, and you can just show up and enter with no skill, all the skill in the world, and be part of that experience just like you would a poker room. It is something completely different than what exists now. So I do believe that kind of thing will bring in a different demographic that they're not used to attracting, that hopefully will then transition into more traditional components of the casino experience. So I think that is something that's coming. But also, once esports competitions, especially the big leagues and the big competitions, which are so heavily consolidated now and run by major players, that when betting becomes common on that, like it does on the PGA Tour or the NBA, I think that will really add a major element of revenue to most sports books. For instance, if there is a simple, League of Legends league that you could track, or I'll give you an even better one, Counter-Strike Go, right? Because There's teams and you have a structure that's very similar to sports, and those offerings appeared alongside the NBA and MLB and what have you. There's going to be a category of people that are going to be heavily interested in betting on those things, the same way you would bet on, a player to win the PGA field. And a lot of it is team allegiance, and because of these esports teams' incredible branding prowess. I mean, my God, guys, there could be books written about the branding capabilities of some of these esports teams and how they've sucked talent out of traditional sports branding and brought it over to the esports side. But it's incredible. Look at FaZe Clan and what they do in terms of celebrity endorsements and things. It's amazing. So I think all of those aspects of it make this so interesting. And Atlantic City is just such a great spot because it's all so close. Like even Las Vegas, which I have nothing but respect for and I've been to over the course of 30 years of my life and really watched it blossom into what it is. But it is very spread out, guys. Yeah. I mean, like, the Blackfire Innovation Center, which is an amazing facility with incredible people working at, is 30 minutes from downtown Las Vegas. I'm on the boardwalk. I open my doors. I'm on the boardwalk. I have 4 million people that are going to walk outside the Esports Innovation Center every year. And that puts us in the heart of the action. It allows us to really get into this this market. I'm fortunate to be a board member on the Levinson Institute of Gaming, Hospitality, and Tourism at Stockton University. Sure. And I just had my first board meeting last night. And, in that room was Bart Blatstein, the head of Showboat, and, the head of Bally's and the head of resorts. And the issues and conversations and discussions about what the state is doing to attract esports tournaments, events, companies here, that's at the forefront. So everyone's getting on board. It's just going to take time to educate. And really, that's where Ari and Ben did such a tremendous job with the event in Las Vegas that I was able to witness firsthand, that I was like, this needs to be in Atlantic City on a permanent basis to add that duality, so we have an East Coast, West Coast, and various issues can get done. And we're very proud to be able to have physical space at Stockton University, which has just the most beautiful campus you could ever imagine in Atlantic City. They've invested $300 million into this city over the course of the last 5 years and are opening another 500 dorm rooms half a block from here. That's the transformation of Atlantic City. If you want to know where it starts, it's here.
You guys brought up two huge topics I was dying to ask you about, and one of them was the casinos. Either of you guys talk to a lot of casinos. I talk to a lot of casinos in my job as a gaming attorney, and the marketers always in casinos said they wanted the younger people in through the doors. They want the millennials, and I always thought esports was the perfect way to do it. I haven't seen the movement on the casino side like I was expecting they would toward esports. Are you guys seeing more of an acceptance from the casinos for esports as time goes on?
Go ahead, Drew. I could just say for a fact that, when we had our event in Vegas, that was the largest group that we had, the Casino Esport Conference in this past March, earlier this year. We had guys from Boyd Gaming, there were guys from Station Casinos, there was guys from MGM and Caesars, and they were all there. They came in, or they sent somebody in their marketing department or their IT department or somebody that came to the event. So it was a good attendance all around, and Native American casino people were there as well. Mm-hmm. So I feel that this past March was definitely a situation where the casino executives were taking a very, very, very close deep dive into this. I think for this event coming up in Atlantic City, we have a whole group from the Bahamas, Nassau coming in to experience this. I just want to touch on one other thing in regards to the wagering. I don't want to get back to, but I'll just touch on that. We're going to be talking about. We have Dan Coonan from the ECAC, the East Coast Athletic Conference. This is it's just like the NCAA representative. He's the president, and we have to talk about that. We have to talk about what is the role of the wagering side in college, and how do we handle the protecting of the authenticity and making sure that students don't Stockton has a great team obviously, but you don't want anybody to tarnish that reputation by cheating and things like that. So these are the things we're going to cover in along the wagering, because along with all of this gambling stuff and the wagering stuff and the peer-to-peer play, this is the concern a lot of these casino executives have, that there is a little bit of how do we protect the consumer? How do we protect the bettor, the punter? And this is what we have to cover in the Casino Esport Conference to reassure them, since they're they're coming into a lot of, we were talking about the casino executives are coming into esports blind. As far as what they know is, their grandson plays video games, or their son is a big gamer. We have Lucas Levinson, who's the son of Lloyd Levinson, who's going to be a speaker at the event. He plays video games. Mm-hmm. So it is a topic that cannot be ignored any longer. And I think that's what we're seeing from the standpoint of the executives, is that they really need to understand this industry. They really need to understand these millennial if they want them to come to the casino, because as it is right now, I don't think that they're giving them or offering them something that they're interested in doing on a casino floor. They do not like games of chance. And I think the place to start from the casino perspective is online, and then bringing them in through to the brick and mortar from online rewards. So I don't know. That's my opinion. That's how I see it, because I see most of the communities of esports online. But eventually they will start coming to your brick and mortar if they see more interaction with them on places like Discord and Twitch and YouTube Gaming and all of these places where they go and they watch video games or they interact with others in communities and play.
I also would stress that it's about experience. the gamer that I connect with, that I speak to, wants an experience. And when you're going to a casino, the experience of playing a slot machine is not what they are looking for, right? So if you built experiences at casinos that are both profitable for the casino and offer something unique and different to the consumer, which again is the peer-to-peer model, think of a poker room, right, where you have all these machines that are set up and you can compete in a variety of different esports, both in tournament style and head-to-head. The casino always wins, right, because they're taking a rake for conducting the activity. So it's a very safe and obvious model for them to participate in. But it offers the consumer something different that they can't get at home. But I do agree with Ari wholeheartedly. The way to engage with them is first online, because that is where they are. They're nowhere else. That is where they are. So it does have to be a outreach. Now, as far as the gambling side of that and the betting side, I think that is just a maturity thing. Once these leagues become more mature, more structured, more known by people, where you know, like, okay, the League of Legends schedule in a given year is this. There are these major events. There are these teams vying for it. This is typically how it goes. This is the Super Bowl. This is the most important midway point. When that education really comes into the betting population in states where it's allowed, I think you will start to see that become more mainstream, and then companies like FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars Sportsbook, MGM will start to maybe pick up. But I also think you need independent companies that are going to pioneer technologies and really create interesting games and ways to interact with betting on esports to enter the market as well. So, those are things that New Jersey can do from a legislative standpoint and from a regulatory standpoint that they are doing. As Ari mentioned, and we just saw it last week, everybody from the DGE and the Casino Control Commission, I was blessed to have Chairman Plow in the office taking a look and talking about what's going on. And, there is so much interest, but also just an understanding of this needs to be done right. We need to do this without the major pitfalls that could go wrong coming into this early to derail the momentum of it happening. So if it's done with a solid regulatory framework, with understanding on all ends of what the pitfalls are, Ari and I both were speaking with Bo Gray recently, who runs a wonderful organization that focuses on safe betting with Charles Oakley, and they tour college campuses around the country to bring awareness on how, and he has this concept of a betting score. Like, you have a credit score, your credit score. Mm-hmm. You should know what your betting score is to know how at risk you are versus what kind of activity you participate in. So I am a huge advocate on safe gaming. I look at it as a great entertainment experience, but once it gets out of control, or once it's soured by cheating and scandal and stuff like that, it no longer becomes something casinos want to do. It's going to be something they immediately run away from because of bad reputations or bad press. So we have to ensure that it's done safely and it's done with all parties involved coming to the table and making sure that we know what the potential issues are and get ahead of them from the start. And a lot of it is regulatory, but also some of it is just pure common sense. How do we not market to younger kids than are legally allowed to be betting? And how do we make sure that these competitions that are K through 12 or collegiate competitions don't interfere in the betting space? And I think that is very important. Same thing, by the way, collegiate athletes have to face, guys. This is this isn't a unique conversation to esports. It's the same thing we have to face with sports betting in traditional sense.
Well, one thing, it's funny because it's not like the casinos haven't tried to get involved in esports. They have. You had games like Danger Zone, which was part of the Game Code product years ago. But the thing about it is, and not only that, I also had GameCon events at these casinos. What I have to point out to you is that in the past, if you go back 10 years or 8 years or so, I would have an event at a casino on purpose, and then I would also have these Game Co events. But the casino never sat down and at the table and said, how can I help market this? How can I help put this out to the people that you want to come to this event, or to the people that you want to have play this game that's sitting on our floor? They just thought, well, we'll just put this game on the floor and everyone will come and play it. Or we'll build this arena in our casino and everyone will come. That's not how it works. And that's why, I think there has to be the education, as we're putting out here, that there really has to be they have to understand millennials. They have to understand Gen Zs, and they just don't.
And the marketing channels to them, Ari, right?
And yes, absolutely.
How many casinos do you know that are running Discord accounts or
TikTok,
TikTok or anything like that? I mean, they're all still stuck in very traditional static marketing techniques of $99 rooms, or throwing it on an Instagram post, or come see this restaurant. That's not going to engage in this audience at all.
Andrew, you mentioned about branding, and Ari, you mentioned the NCAA, and in this new age, we now have something called name, image, and likeness deals, where student athletes will be able to earn money off of their names because of the sport they play. Do you think we're going to start seeing this with regard to college students in the esports industry? Because there are a ton of deals being made in the esports industry. I'm just wondering, do you see that moving into the NCAA?
Without being able to give you a single specific example, I would almost guarantee there already are.
I mean, that's the whole point. Isn't that the whole point of influencers, Andrew? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, this is really, if you have a following.
There are sneaker deals out there. I can't believe there are sneaker deals out there for people sitting down watching.
It does not matter.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's a no-brainer, and especially if somebody came into the collegiate ranks with a reputation already, even if they were only playing amateur. I mean, there are young streamers who have huge followings that dwarf what a standard NCAA Division I athlete would have coming into a program. It makes a lot of sense that any group looking to tap into that would start using NIL for esports players as well. I think right now there's such a emphasis on the professional ranks of the esports players that collegiate teams haven't really created that yet. You don't have that feeling oh, there's the Ohio State, or there's the Michigan rivalry, or there's the the powerhouses, the Alabamas of esports. So I think as those teams start to emerge and identities start to come, and then you start to see the top high school esports players choosing teams and being recruited just like a traditional sports sense with scholarships and other availability, then NIL will play a massive role in attracting people and watching that market grow. But rest assured, the collegiate market will grow because that's how we do things structured in the United States. There's a hierarchy to how things go before you get professional, and the collegiate market is really, the big stepping stone.
Mm-hmm. Ari, we're running out of time, but can you remind the audience again where people can register for the Casino Esports Conference?
Yeah, it's going to be held in Atlantic City, October 18th and 19th at the Esports Innovation Center. And you can register today at the Casino Esport, C as in cat, O as in Oreo, N as in Nancy, F as in Frank.com. And that's where you go to register. So it's Casino Esport Conf, or conf.com. And there's all the information you need there. You'll have it. There's a list of it. There's the agendas on there, the speakers. We have some really great people who are going to be speaking. Guys from Take Two Media, like Jay Moses, the running back, or the running back that was the running back, all-time former running back of the Green Bay Packers. So Amon Green. So there's plenty of guys that are going to be there that you could talk to that are involved on various levels, college levels, professional levels, in regards to esports and the esports ecosystem, video gaming ecosystem. So it's Casino Esport Conf, conf.com.
And Andrew, can you give out a website for the Esports Innovation Center at Stockton University for anyone who's interested in finding out more about it?
Of course. Unfortunately, our website address is not Esports Innovation Center at StocktonUniversity.com. How about EIC.gg?
All right.
That's the easiest way to get to us. We also are esportsnj.org because officially we are a nonprofit. So But just for the gaming community, we wanted to make it nice and simple, so EIC.GG.
Ari Fox, creator of the Casino Esport Conference, and Andrew Weilgus, executive director of the Esports Innovation Center at Stockton University, thank you so much for joining us. And I want to remind everyone that the conference is being held in Atlantic City at the Esport Innovation Center at Stockton University on October 18th and 19th. Thanks a lot for coming on and talking about the conference. It's always such an important event for the esports industry, so thanks for joining us and telling us all about it.
Thanks, Dave.
Really appreciate it, Dave. Thank you.
And that'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.